Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of compelling sources and distill the absolute best knowledge and insight for you.
And today we are really strapping in for something big.
We're doing a deep dive into a modern cultural phenomenon, Robin Sharma's transformative framework, the 5 a.m. Club.
And this is, it's so much more than just another self-help book, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a whole operating system for elite performance. Sharma spent, 4 years crafting it?
4 years. And it promises to transform not just your productivity, but your health, your sense of calm in this crazy world.
Your tranquility, yeah.
So our mission today is to give you the ultimate shortcut. We're going to extract the core philosophy, the specific actionable formulas, the real how-to, and the deeper context you need to understand what he means by becoming legendary.
And the way he teaches all this is through, a story.
Right, through these characters.
Exactly. There's an entrepreneur who is in the middle of a catastrophic crisis.
An artist who's totally blocked.
Battling an inspiration drought. And then there's their mentor, this wildly unconventional guide.
Who at first seems like a homeless man.
Yeah, but he's revealed to be this enigmatic billionaire, Stone Riley. He's also known as the Spellbinder.
That character twist is fascinating, but I have to ask, is it maybe a little controversial?
How so?
Well, does relying on a billionaire mentor with, private jet access to meetings, does that dilute the message for the average person?
That's a fair question. I think the book uses Riley to embody this idea that transformation is accessible to anyone.
Regardless of where you are now.
Exactly. His invisible appearance is meant to prove that, outward appearances mean nothing compared to what's inside. And he sets up the core, non-negotiable rule for everything that follows.
Which is?
Own your morning. Elevate your life.
Okay, let's unpack the philosophy behind all this, because it demands a huge mental shift before you even think about setting that 5 a.m. alarm.
It really does. It all starts with the Spellbinder's challenge to just dismantle mediocrity.
He's incredibly direct about it.
He is. He treats excuses almost like a poison. He gives this really strong warning. Excuses are seducers, your fears are liars, and your doubts are thieves.
Wow. So even your past, the painful stuff, gets reframed. It's not a weight anymore.
Not at all. It's preparation. It's the training you needed for what's coming next.
And once you shed those excuses, you have to run straight towards what's uncomfortable. That seems to be the real engine for growth here.
That is the absolute core of it. The philosophy is world class begins where your comfort zone ends.
So if you're feeling uneasy, you're not failing.
No, you're exactly where you need to be. That's where the opportunity is. Discomfort is like a purifying agent. It strips away the superficial stuff and forces you to build resilience.
Which leads to, I guess, a more enduring kind of success and joy.
Right. It completely changes how you react to pressure.
So to get that external success, you have to start internally. Which brings us to the 4 interior empires.
Yes. These are the pillars, and they have to be developed together in harmony. It's not a pick and choose menu.
Okay, so break them down for us. What's the first one?
It starts with your mindset, your psychology. Basically how you see the world and how you approach challenges.
Then you have the heart set.
Which is all about your emotional life, your emotionality. Things like compassion, empathy, keeping those deep human connections strong. Emotional health drives performance.
Okay, mindset, heart set. Next is the health set. That one's pretty self-explanatory.
It is, but it's crucial. Riley's point is that your real wealth is your well-being. If your physical health collapses, everything else just crumbles with it.
And the final one is the soul set.
Your spirituality, your purpose, that deeper sense of why you're even doing all this. The whole point is you can't just hack your productivity. You need all 4 of these engines running smoothly to get to that legendary status.
And when they are, it completely changes what success even means, doesn't it?
It fundamentally shifts it. It stops being about how much money Stone Riley has. It becomes about his legacy.
So the purpose of a business, or any achievement really, is to serve others.
And to uplift society. Real power comes from those internal virtues like integrity and honesty, not just from a big bank account or a fancy title.
All right, so let's move from the philosophy to the practice. We've embraced discomfort. We're committed to the 4 empires. Now what?
Now comes the core method, the victory hour.
The 5 a.m. start. Why is 5 a.m. the magic number?
Well, the idea is ancient. He references thinkers like Aristotle, who, connected early rising to health, wealth, and wisdom.
But practically today, what does that hour give you?
In one word, isolation. Rising at 5 a.m. gives you this profound solitude that is just so rare in our digital age.
It's the one time you're truly alone with your thoughts.
It's the time slot that lets world builders, as he calls them, avoid distraction, deepen their reflection, and really get into that creative state of flow before the world starts making demands on you.
Okay, so let's say we actually manage to get out of bed at 5 a.m. How do we structure that hour? This brings us to the famous ritual.
The non-negotiable 20-20-20 formula.
And this is brilliant because it hits all four interior empires at once.
In a really structured, measurable way, yes.
Okay, let's walk through it. First 20 minutes,
Yeah.
from 5:00 to 5:20 a.m. is move.
And to be clear, this is not a gentle stretch. It has to be intense. You need to sweat.
Why is that so important right out of bed?
It's pure biology. Intense exercise first thing in the morning lowers cortisol, which is your stress hormone.
Which is naturally highest in the morning, right?
It is. And at the same time, it releases things like dopamine and serotonin. This chemical shift literally boosts your brain function and your mood. You're chemically engineering an optimistic day.
Okay, next segment. 5:20 to 5:40 a.m. Reflect.
This is all about that solitude we mentioned. Meditation, deep breathing, and critically, journaling.
Why is the journaling part so key?
The journal is where you process your emotions, practice gratitude, and set your intentions for the day. He makes this point that tranquility is the new luxury in our world. This quiet time is where you plan your day proactively instead of just reacting to whatever comes your way. It's training for intentionality.
And the final 20 minutes, 5:40 to 6:00 a.m., is grow.
This is pure investment in yourself.
To reading, listening to educational stuff, learning a new skill.
Exactly. The principle is simple. You become more valuable by constantly improving who you are. You're using your peak focus window to increase your personal capability.
I mean, this sounds amazing, but also grueling to maintain. It all depends on having energy and discipline the second you wake up.
And that brings up the absolutely essential counterbalance that people often forget when they talk about this.
Lunches.
Sleep. You cannot sustain a 5 a.m. habit without a structured, high-quality evening routine. Sharma points out we're in a global sleep recession.
So what's the magic number for sleep? It's not just about going to bed early, is it?
No, it's about the cycles. The goal is 5 complete 90-minute sleep cycles a night.
So 7.5 hours.
7.5 hours. Proper sleep is the foundation for everything. Creativity, mood, even hormones. If you neglect sleep, you're starting your day with a cognitive deficit, and that victory hour becomes, well, pretty useless.
Okay, so knowing the routine is one thing, but actually sustaining it.
Yeah.
That's the real mountain to climb, isn't it?
Mm.
How do you make this permanent?
That's where the habit installation protocol comes in. It's about grit.
Like Angela Duckworth's work.
Exactly. The source material says it takes about 66 days to fully install a new habit, and it happens in 3 stages.
How are they?
First is destruction, where you're breaking your old bad habits. Then comes installation.
That sounds like the messy part.
It is. That's the messy middle where you feel the most friction and want to quit. And then finally, you get to integration, where the habit becomes automatic. It doesn't require so much willpower.
That's an interesting point about willpower. We usually think of it as something that just runs out by the afternoon.
Right, like a battery.
Mm.
But Stone Riley argues it's more like a muscle.
It gets stronger with practice.
It strengthens with use, but just like a muscle, it also needs recovery. The whole point of the 66-day protocol is to get to the automaticity point where you're not draining that muscle every single morning.
And for sustaining this over the long haul, for becoming one of those history makers, there are 4 key areas of focus.
Yes, the 4 focuses of history makers. First up is capitalization IQ.
Okay, what is that?
This is such a critical idea. It's not about how much raw talent or intelligence you have. It's about how much of that potential you actually use. It's dedication over raw skill.
Got it. Number 2 is freedom from distraction.
And there's a powerful quote here. An addiction to distraction is the end of your creative production.
Which means being ruthless about focusing on what really matters.
Absolutely. Number 3 is just the continuous practice of nurturing the 4 interior empires. It's never one and done.
And number 4, which might be the most powerful concept of all, is day stacking.
Day stacking is the genius of small daily gains. It's the idea that these tiny, seemingly insignificant improvements, when you do them consistently,
They compound.
they yield staggering exponential results over time. A 1% improvement every day makes a monumental difference in a year.
And to protect that work, there are specific tactics for the workday itself after the victory hour is done.
Right. The first is the 9901 rule.
Which is?
For the first 90 minutes of your workday, you work on your single most important project. For 90 days straight, no exceptions.
And to protect that time, you need what he calls the tight bubble of total focus, or TBTF.
Which is just an aggressively protected, uninterrupted space. You're safeguarding your brain power from all the pings and notifications.
But you can't live in that bubble 24/7. So if you just push without that downtime.
You never actually get stronger or more creative, you just deplete yourself. Which is why he advocates for intentional rest, even things like 0 device days, to completely disconnect and let that willpower muscle recover and grow stronger.
Okay, so the narrative brings all this knowledge together and connects it to the ultimate goal, right? Living a significant life. And the final teaching takes place on Robin Island,
Yeah, and that location is so intentional.
the prison where Nelson Mandela was held.
For years, it's there to dramatically illustrate the transformative power of suffering and adversity. The Spellbinder uses that setting to explain that every major struggle is actually designed to introduce you to your deepest talents.
To the glorious hero that lives inside each of us.
Exactly. It's the ultimate lesson in personal greatness. That hardship isn't a negative. It's the necessary ingredient for transforming into an extraordinary leader. It's part of the heroic human circle.
That's an incredibly powerful way to end the story. But we do need to add some critical context here before we wrap up. Because as airtight as this model is, it doesn't account for everyone, does it?
It doesn't, and we have to acknowledge that. Personal productivity is highly individual. This model gives one powerful solution, but it's crucial to know that not everyone is a genetic lark.
A morning person.
Right. A lot of people are natural McGowans or night owls who hit their peak cognitive performance much later in the day.
And if you force a night owl into a 5 a.m. schedule, you might just be setting them up to fail.
You might be just depleting them. So the takeaway is that the principle of a victory hour is solid, but the timing needs to be customized to your own biology.
And there's another perspective, too, about the myth of meritocracy.
Yes, which is so important. Focusing this intensely on personal mastery and sleep cycles, well, it risks ignoring the very real systemic barriers that prevent a lot of people from getting 7.5 hours of protected sleep.
Or having the luxury of a 90-minute uninterrupted focus block.
Exactly. It requires a certain amount of stability and resources to build a life around high excellence and deep refueling. The lesson is powerful, but it's not universally applicable without some major modification.
Still, I think the ultimate message from the billionaire, regardless of timing or systems, is pretty universal.
It is. That life is short, and tomorrow is a bonus, not a right. The goal is to use the gifts you have and to own the hours you actually can control.
We started with that mantra, own your morning, elevate your life. We've unpacked the 20-20-20 rule, the need for supercompensation, the power of day stacking.
So if true success really does demand that cyclical recovery, those high excellence cycles balanced by deep refueling cycles and intentional rest like 0 device days, we want to leave you with a final thought to chew on.
What one thing in your current routine are you doing too much of? What is actively depleting your long-term genius?
Identify that one drain, find your own best rest pattern, and then go find your own victory hour, whenever it may fall on your unique schedule.
Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.